charming and spirited young mother.
Oh, she was so vivacious, like a little firecracker. She was sweet and loving, but she just didn't take any crap off anybody.
Is found strangled in her bedroom.
Whoever did this left her there with no chance to survive.
Police face a challenging crime scene.
There was no forensic evidence whatsoever. No fingerprints. No eyewitnesses.
This case was a definite whodunit case.
And a long list of suspects.
He had been hanging around her desk, and he had made some comments that really creeped her out.
She had had some troubled boyfriends in the past.
He didn't want to accept the fact that they were done. Their relationship was over.
You would think that whoever did it had a score to settle.
Until one big break reveals a culprit.
That one key piece of evidence was the aha moment in the case.
And it shocks everyone.
When they finally discovered who it was just surreal.
There's no rhyme, there's no reason behind it. It was absolutely senseless.
Just before 5 p.m. on a Monday in March of 1999, in the small bedroom community of Norcross, Georgia, police raced through the suburban streets in response to a 911 call.
The only information that we had at hand initially was there had been a person discovered dead in an apartment. It was her fiance that had called 911. When we arrived at the scene, we spoke with the fiance briefly.
The man tells detectives the victim is 20-year-old mother of one, Danielle Jennings. Her 2-year-old son is currently at daycare.
The fiance told us he walked in and found her lying on the bed, and he stated that she was cold and blue.
She was deceased by that point. She was face down on the bed, and he rolled her over and then called 911.
While Danielle's fiance is taken to provide a statement, investigators take a close look at the crime scene.
When you went back into the bedroom, she was on the bed, fully clothed, laying on her back, but you could obviously see signs of strangulation.
She had a ligature around her neck. The ligature appeared to be some type of stocking, and it was tied around her neck very, very tight.
It had been tied off to leave it that way. It's not like it released, which I thought was pretty unusual. I mean, whoever did this left her there with no chance to survive.
The ligature was knotted in the back, which would tell you that the person was on her back, behind her, when she was strangled.
Detectives explore the rest of the crime scene, looking for clues.
The bed was messed up. One of the dresser drawers was open. The stocking that she was strangled with may have been one of hers out of that drawer. Her purse was dumped out as if somebody had dumped the contents and rummaged through it. It could have been a robbery or a burglary just gone wrong. However, there was other stuff such as cameras, miscellaneous jewelry that could have been taken, but they were not taken.
It was possibly a burglary that had been interrupted, but you always have to consider the possibility that it could have been a staged burglary because, frankly, there really wasn't a lot of disruption.
Next, investigators try to determine how the killer entered the apartment.
There was absolutely no tool marks or anything on the front door, and then there was a sliding patio glass door. It was locked. There was no evidence of tampering with it at all. We went around and we searched the outside, but we didn't turn up anything of any value.
Before they return to the station to interview Danielle's fiance, detectives fan out to speak with other tenants in the complex.
Most of the people in these complexes work during the day, and so most of them are not home. We left our business cards with a note asking them to please give us a call.
As the crime scene investigation continues, news of Danielle's violent murder quickly spreads to her family and friends.
When I found out that Danielle died, I said, no. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I said, this cannot be real. And then I dropped the phone and I just started screaming. I was just absolutely in utter shock. How does one handle the information that your best friend, your sister, the person that you basically love more than anybody in this world is gone? Why would somebody do this to such a loving, caring, beautiful person?
Born in Columbia, South Carolina in 1978, Danielle grew up with her mother and stepfather in Stockton, Georgia. Even in her youth, Danielle had a magnetic personality.
She was beautiful, strong, tenacious, ferocious. She was very fun. Danielle was always ready to have a good time, to laugh.
Oh, she was so vivacious, like a little firecracker. She was very tiny, but she had this big attitude. She was sweet and loving, but she just didn't take any crap off anybody.
Danielle showed her resilience when she was left to deal with an unplanned pregnancy alone at the age of 16.
There was never a doubt in her mind that she wanted to have that baby. She wasn't scared. I mean, she had brass balls of steel.
She wasn't going to let her age stand in the way of being a good mother.
Danielle gave birth to her son, Tristan, in 1996.
She was so proud. I could see her little attitude in him.
The new mother longed for her son to have a father and hoped she had found one when she started dating Luis Payano.
We grew up with Louis, so we go way back with him. We met Louis in our early teen years. Danielle was always partial to Louis, and Louis and Danielle were dating, and I was so thrilled. And the way that Louis would look at Danielle, like she would walk into the room and he would just light up.
Soon, the couple moved into an apartment together, and Danielle landed an office job at a landscaping company.
She was so excited to have like what we titled a big girl job. She was very proud of herself. We were all very proud of her, you know? She was going places.
In December of 1998, Luis asked Danielle to marry him.
She was so excited, and I'm like, this is gonna be the best marriage ever. When Danielle first got her engagement ring, it was too big. And I said, girl, you gotta get it sized. She's like, I don't wanna take it off. It was beautiful.
Danielle had everything going for her. She had a great career opportunity ahead of her. She had a man she was so excited to marry. She had a beautiful son that just meant the world to her. Danielle was really on top of her game.
She was probably the happiest I had ever seen her.
Now, all Danielle's happiness and hope has been stolen by a cold-blooded killer.
I could not even begin to fathom why somebody would do that to her.
Back at the crime scene, investigators are searching for answers.
The scene raised several questions. Of course, the most obvious was, how did whoever it was get into the apartment? Because there was no sign of forced entry. Was it someone she knew? We know, working off the percentages, that the person most likely to kill you is laying next to you in the bed. In this case, Danielle's fiance, Luis.
Coming up, detectives unearth dark secrets.
She had had some troubled boyfriends in the past.
He was violent. He was abusive. You could tell when he talked about Danielle that it made him mad.
He was just very, very creepy to me. And I know they had tumultuous fights.
The person that did it could have been amongst us.
And just as the case threatens to turn cold,
We felt like we had hit a brick wall.
I had a huge fear that whoever it was got away with it.
a stunning revelation points to a killer no one suspected.
The killer was much closer to home than anybody first thought. I don't think anybody saw it coming.
Police investigating the murder of 20-year-old mother Danielle Jennings have their first suspect, her fiancé, 25-year-old Luis Payano.
Even though he's her fiance, everybody remains a suspect until such time that we solve the crime.
Investigators question the distraught young man.
He was very emotional, but romance can raise anger to a level sometimes that leads to homicide.
Detectives begin their interview by asking Luis about Danielle's movements the day of her murder.
He stated that he had been at work all day. The last time he had seen Danielle was when he left to go to work.
According to Luis, they had both left the apartment at 6:45 a.m., but Danielle went back into the building to get something. He tells detectives that Danielle seemed distracted because of an upcoming work meeting.
She was supposed to be having a meeting with management that day. She didn't feel easy about it.
Luis says Danielle called him at work around 11:30 a.m.
She wanted to see if Luis would have lunch with her, but he was tied up at work and he couldn't break free.
They didn't have lunch, and later in the afternoon, he couldn't reach her.
He called her at work, and then they told him that she had gone home at lunchtime, but she didn't come back from lunch after a couple of hours.
Luis tells investigators he called Danielle's cell phone and their apartment.
He stated that he was trying to get hold of Danielle and was not getting a response, and then he left work and went home to see if she was there.
Luis said that when he got home, the front door was unlocked, and that really surprised him because they were pretty careful about keeping the front door locked.
Detectives ask Luis about his relationship with Danielle.
We wanted to find out if they had domestic issues. He said that it was a very good relationship and they were very much in love with each other.
To verify his story, detectives call Luis's work and Danielle's loved ones.
Her family and friends stated that they were just a young couple that were very much in love and looking forward to getting married and spending their life together.
She had had some troubled boyfriends in the past, but Luis was on the up and up. I mean, he was setting up a financially stable life for him and Danielle and Tristan, and she loved him so much.
Danielle's friends are adamant that Luis would never harm her, and his alibi seems solid.
We were able to confirm that he had been at work all day through statements of his coworkers. As a result, he was eliminated as a suspect. Now you're on the hunt for other suspects.
With Luis in the clear, detectives ask him if he knew of anyone who may want to harm Danielle.
He brought up the name of Jeff, a co-worker of Danielle. She had filed a sexual harassment complaint against him at work. That piqued our interest a little bit. We immediately went to Danielle's place of work and we met with her supervisor and discussed what was going on.
Danielle's supervisor tells detectives about the young mother's harassment complaint against her coworker.
He was a middle-aged man. He worked at the same landscape company. He had a different job. He was in management. Danielle told her manager and supervisor he had been hanging around her desk and he had made some comments that really kind of creeped her out and acting inappropriately at work.
There was a big age difference between Danielle and Jeff. He was 40, she was 20. He had asked her out for lunch and she told him that she had a fiance that she loved, and he had made a comment to her that if he was 20 years younger, things would be a lot different.
Danielle had briefly touched base with me about the situation that she was having at work. Dude was kind of crushing on her and she was trying to get that, under control. But I said, just don't let it get out of hand.
She filed the complaint. I kind of admired her grit. She wasn't going to take it. The company was very responsive to her complaint. They took it seriously. They moved quickly.
Detectives note the timing when told of the company's response.
That day that Danielle was killed, she was supposed to be having a meeting with upper management about the sexual harassment charge.
Once we realized that the meeting had taken place that day, that was something that was suspicious.
Talking with the management, we found out Danielle was anxious and nervous about the meeting.
She was a relatively new employee when she made the complaint. That was one of the reasons she was so nervous, because his career was in a certain amount of jeopardy.
Coworkers state that after the meeting, Danielle went home for lunch, but never returned.
She didn't come back, and we knew that was consistent with the time of death. You had to think, where was the coworker at the time?
Detective suspicions increase when they learn that Jeff was out of the office and did not return until late in the day. Was this too much of a coincidence? Could he have killed Danielle as revenge for her complaint?
We definitely wanted to speak with him face to face.
Detectives hunting the killer of Danielle Jennings suspect a harassment complaint against her coworker, Jeff, may have led to retaliation and murder.
We were now focused on him as a possible suspect. We had to consider the possibility that he followed her home and ambushed her and killed her.
Investigators bring the 40-year-old in for an interview and ask about his interaction with 20-year-old Danielle.
He admitted to asking her out for lunch, but he said other than that, he had not done anything.
He talked about the sexual harassment complaint and pretty typically said, you know, I didn't think it was that big a deal. I didn't know she was that offended.
According to police reports, Jeff denies any sexual intentions toward Danielle.
He told police that whatever lapse in manners that he had had with Danielle, that he liked her. He seemed to be genuinely dismayed to find out what had happened.
Detectives ask if Danielle's complaint gave him a reason to want to harm her.
His first reaction was he was angry. He was adamant that he was not a suspect. And then he said it couldn't have been me because my truck was broken and I was on a job with somebody else, with a coworker, and I can prove it.
Jeff provides investigators with the name of the coworker he claims to have been with.
We immediately ran down his coworker at like 1 o'clock in the morning. This guy verified that he was with him all day till the close of business, that they were together.
With his alibi confirmed, police eliminate Jeff as a suspect. 24 hours after Danielle's murder, the enormity of her death is only just starting to hit home for Danielle's loved ones.
Things like that didn't happen where we grew up. I could not believe somebody would do that to her. It was just the most nightmarish thing I could imagine. It made me question God. Why would you let something that horrible happen to her?
I didn't want to accept it. I couldn't sleep. I just kept saying, she's dead, she's dead. Danielle should not be dead.
The following day, investigators receive the autopsy report and scour it for anything that might point to Danielle's killer.
The manner of death was asphyxiation or strangulation.
The medical examiner stated that she probably lost consciousness within about 15 to 20 seconds after the ligature was placed around her neck.
It seemed clear that she had been surprised by her attacker, had no time to move, had no time to strike back.
It's almost like it came out of nowhere. We knew from the positioning of the knot, someone had come up behind her with the nylon stocking, pulled it tight until she lost consciousness, and then tied it off to kill her. She had not been sexually assaulted. There weren't any other injuries. There weren't any defensive injuries.
This case was a definite whodunit case. There was no evidence found at the scene that could help us.
There was no forensic evidence whatsoever. No transfer of skin, no fingerprints, nothing a lab could look at.
After striking out with the autopsy, investigators revisit the theory that the homicide was a robbery gone wrong.
We don't live there, so we don't know what's supposed to be there and what's not. We asked the fiance to go back through the apartment with us and tell us what he sees missing. The smallest detail sometimes helps point us into the direction of a suspect, but nothing was missing according to the fiance. At that point, we had absolutely nothing to go on other than the stocking that she was strangled with.
Detectives ask Luis if he recognizes the stalking.
We wanted to know whether it came from her. It was a tan, knee-high women's stocking, and he said that she never wore anything like that, and we didn't find any in the apartment. Whoever did this brought that with them.
The homicide was brutal, violent, and vicious. It lent itself to a personal motive. You would think that whoever did it had a score to settle.
Louise told us she had had some tumultuous relationships in her past, so we pursued that angle.
Investigators asked Danielle's friends about her previous relationships.
When they first started questioning me, they were asking me a lot of questions about her boyfriends in the past, who I felt might have been able to do it. And then it clicked that, you know, Eddie, he was a tow truck driver and he was a big guy. And he was just very, very creepy to me.
Her best friend told us about her ex-boyfriend. He was violent, he was abusive.
She ended up having to get a restraining order on him. With Eddie, no one ever really knew when he was going to pop up again.
That was somebody we needed to look at.
2 days after the murder of 20-year-old Danielle Jennings, friends have alerted investigators to Eddie McElwaney, an ex-boyfriend with a violent history.
We learned a lot about her former boyfriend. We learned that she had begun to see him when she was a teenager, when she was younger.
Friends reveal Danielle started dating Eddie shortly after she became pregnant from another relationship. But Eddie's behavior soon raised red flags.
As they got more serious, he became more possessive and controlling, and he definitely wanted to start isolating her from her friends and family more.
I didn't want to be around him. I did not like the way he made me feel. I didn't like the way he looked at Danielle. I mean, it was, he would sometimes look at her with, he looked at her with disgust. And I know they had tumultuous fights.
We learned it had been an abusive relationship, physical and emotional.
I mean, she would stand up to anybody, but as tough and as a badass as she was, I think she was a little bit afraid of him.
Things only got worse with Eddie when Danielle gave birth to her child.
Her family and friends stated that shortly after her son was born, Eddie was getting involved in drugs, and that was finally the straw that broke the camel's back, and she ended the relationship with that.
Danielle moved out and tried to start fresh, but Eddie had other plans.
She knew it was going to be difficult, but she didn't realize that Eddie was not going to leave Danielle in peace. He didn't want to accept the fact that they were done, their relationship was over. She never knew when he would turn up around the corner, when she just wanted to be left alone.
She had gotten a restraining order against Eddie because he had been stalking her. He had been driving back and forth in front of her house. He had gone to her work, and she was in fear that she was in danger.
We found out that he had violated the restraining order several times. He would call her, leave voicemails for her. He would drive by her house several times a day or night.
When police ask when Eddie last contacted Danielle, the answer is troubling.
Danielle's family had told us that within the last few months, he had been calling her, trying to get her to talk to him, but she would just hang up on him.
Could Eddie have shown up at Danielle's apartment the day she was killed, leading to a deadly confrontation?
I've seen a lot of domestic abuse cases, so I knew that there was a possibility that with his past, that he could have done something like that.
Investigators track down Eddie and bring him in for questioning.
In the interview with Eddie, he was kind of belligerent and unhappy to be there and a little bit hostile. You could tell when he talked about Danielle that it made him mad. What we saw with Eddie certainly had all the earmarks of a domestic violence case.
When questioned about his relationship with Danielle, Eddie's responses raised detectives' suspicions even more.
When he was asked about the relationship, his version was a little bit different. He never mentioned any abuse. He thought everything was great.
We asked him when was the last time that he had had any contact with Danielle, and he said that he had not talked to her for at least a year or longer. We know that he's lying about that from speaking with Danielle's family and friends. We knew in the last several months he had been calling her.
At that point, he's looking pretty good. So you have to determine where he was at the time of the crime.
Eddie tells detectives that he was working many miles away from where Danielle was killed.
He said that on his job as a tow truck driver that he had to go out of state.
Investigators immediately look into Eddie's alibi.
His boss verified that he was out of state and he was able to produce hotel receipts, gas receipts that showed that he was actually out of state at the time of the crime.
Whenever he responded to a legitimate call, he had to log it, and his whereabouts could be verified throughout the day.
That is a pretty tight alibi, so he was eliminated as a suspect.
It's another dead end for detectives.
Once again, we're knocked for a loop and we're back to ground zero, and he moves down the line and we're looking for somebody else.
It was infuriating. It was frustrating. I had a huge fear that whoever it was got away with it, because people get away with murder every day. I was really hoping that the detectives would find something, because you're sitting here trying to point a finger at somebody that you don't know who.
There was this air of suspense around everything because we didn't know at that time who had killed Danielle. The person that did it could have been amongst us.
We had basically eliminated everybody who was close to the victim. When you get to that point of an investigation, you don't have anywhere else to logically follow up.
With no more leads, the investigation is at a standstill.
We felt like we had hit a brick wall, and then we got a call that changed everything.
3 days after finding Danielle Jennings strangled in her apartment bedroom, police hunting her killer have just got a stunning new lead.
We received a phone call from a Miss Kirk that resided at the apartment complex.
The woman tells detectives about a disturbing incident that took place a week before Danielle was killed.
She was awakened one morning by someone knocking at the door, and she looked out the peephole but didn't see anybody there, so she went back to bed. And a few minutes later, she hears the front door open, and the maintenance man is standing there. The maintenance man says that he's there for a work order. However, Miss Kirk says she felt very uncomfortable the entire time that he was in there because he was always staring at her, like he was more preoccupied with her than he was completing the work order.
The woman cannot provide the name of the maintenance man, but she gives a description to police. Detectives head back to Danielle's apartment complex to investigate.
While speaking with the management at the complex, we found that there was another case similar in the past from a Miss Bruno that lived in the apartment complex.
Management told the detectives that someone had walked into this woman's apartment. She had, of course, asked him who the heck he was. "What are you doing in my apartment?" And he said maintenance, and claimed that he was there to change light bulbs. And she said, "I don't have any light bulbs to change." He kind of mumbled and stumbled, and then, maybe I have the wrong apartment, and he backed out and left. It was so similar to the other one, which of course raises our eyebrows.
The complex was big enough so that there were several maintenance workers, but only one closely fit the description given by the young ladies. That would be Calvin Oliver.
We showed a photograph of Mr. Oliver to Miss Bruno and Miss Kurt, and both of them identified him as the person that had walked in on them.
Investigators discover a disturbing trend emerged after Calvin had been hired 7 months ago.
Come to find out, there had been several burglaries reported where items had been stolen out of apartments that had no forced entry.
Could Calvin have been responsible for these thefts?
We learned that he had an apartment in the complex. The fact that he lives there makes it so accessible that he could walk around, not be suspicious. We also learned that the custodians had access to the master keys of every apartment. He has complete access.
Detectives search for any link between Danielle and Calvin.
We found out that he had done a work order in her apartment a couple of weeks prior to the murder.
That is somebody that you really want to look at. It went back to our original theory of if this was a burglary, then it had been interrupted. He could have known that Danielle Jennings was gone during the daytime, and he decided that day that he was going to enter that apartment.
Investigators haul Calvin Oliver in for an interview, but make the call to slow play their suspicions.
When Oliver was brought in for questioning, we didn't want to tip him off to anything about the homicide. So he was interviewed initially about the burglaries. He absolutely denied any of that. He said, I didn't steal anything, I didn't go into apartments. He denied any involvement in any burglaries.
The 42-year-old tells detectives that his intrusion on the two women in the complex was a simple misunderstanding.
Once we got around to interviewing him about the murder, the first question was, did you hear about this? It was kind of odd. You would have thought that a person who worked in that apartment complex and was there every day would have heard everything about it. He went, yeah, I think I heard something about it. I don't know much about it. I don't know that woman.
He insisted he knew nothing about, as he described her, that dead girl.
All he admitted to knowing her was that he had done the work order in her apartment.
At that point, we had a pattern of conduct going into apartments. We had the admission that he had been in the apartment, but we had nothing that directly linked him to the murder.
With nothing concrete on Calvin, detectives end the interview. But before they let him walk free, police run a background check and are shocked by what they find.
He had a criminal history of burglary and theft. There was an outstanding warrant on him for failure to appear on a burglary charge in another jurisdiction. That day that Danielle was killed, if he's in there and she walks in on him, that would be a reason for him to cause her harm because he doesn't want to go back to prison.
He had an outstanding warrant, so he was held for that, and that bought them enough time while they investigated.
Based on the burglaries that had occurred in the complex, we obtained a search warrant for his apartment. We're trying to see if we can find anything that would tie him to Danielle Jennings. We're looking for any type of the stockings or pantyhose or anything that would be similar to the one that we found tied around her neck.
Detectives find no matching stocking, but they do discover incriminating evidence.
We do find evidence of the other burglaries that have been committed in the complex. And then we also found out that he had possession of a master key for the apartment complex so that he could open any door on any building at any time, and he was not supposed to be in possession of that key.
It's only enough evidence to allow investigators to charge Calvin with burglary.
We concluded that search with those items, but nothing was found relevant to the murder. You really don't have anywhere else to go at that point.
We don't have a stocking, we don't have anything that ties him to Danielle or her apartment at all.
That's where we were until Louise called. Out of the blue, he said, "Do you have the engagement ring?"
We told him, no, we don't have a ring. We didn't know one was missing. And then he describes the ring, and then the big bright light goes off. When we were doing the search on Oliver's apartment, we noticed a ring on a dresser in his bedroom, but the ring didn't match any of the items stolen, so we really didn't have a reason to seize it at that time. We do another search warrant, go back into the apartment, we seize that ring, we show it to the fiance. He can't positively identify the ring, but he says her best friend will definitely be able to identify it. If we were able to identify that as being Danielle's ring, that would physically tie Oliver to Danielle and her apartment on the day that she was murdered.
With the entire investigation on the line, detectives race to the home of Danielle's best friend.
Is that ring the engagement ring? This is something we gotta know.
Investigators believe the key to solving the murder of Danielle Jennings is her missing engagement ring.
If we had that ring, then we had the killer.
Detectives have seized a ring from suspect Calvin Oliver's apartment. But is it Danielle's engagement ring? They hope her best friend can answer that question.
The detective and Lewis were there, and I said, well, what's going on? And the detective looked at me and he said, Leslie, he said, do you know what Danielle's engagement ring looked like? And I said, yes, sir, I do. The detective said, is there any defining characteristics to this ring? He goes, and I need you to be specific. And I said, yes, sir. I said it was bent. She had bent the band so it stayed snug on her finger because she wouldn't take the dang thing to get sized.
We needed to find out when was the last time she had seen her wearing the ring.
I said, I saw Danielle the Sunday before she was killed, and she had her ring on Sunday night. And he takes the evidence bag out and he says, is this her ring? And the minute I saw it, I knew it was hers.
When we had that ring and had it identified as being hers, we knew that we had the guy. We knew we had the right person.
Finding the ring was the aha moment in the case. And that was the piece of evidence that allowed us to charge Calvin Oliver with murder.
9 days after her death, Calvin Oliver is arrested for the murder of Danielle Jennings.
The primary charge was malice murder, and that means that you intentionally and unlawfully kill another human being.
Detectives once again interview Calvin, this time taking a different approach.
Once you have a suspect under arrest for the charge that you're interviewing him about, then the interview becomes very direct. He was given a chance again to tell the story where he denied any involvement in the murder, and then he was confronted with the evidence that we had.
We told him about the ring, and that's when he said, well, I stole that ring 2 weeks ago when I did the work order in her apartment. But see, we knew that was a lie because we had people that had seen her wearing the ring, so we knew that he was lying about that.
Calvin refuses to answer any more questions.
We told him that he was being charged with malice murder because you took the pantyhose with you into the apartment because you had intent to harm someone, and he said there was no intent there, which was a good comment to have in a statement. It's like he admitted to killing her without knowing that he had admitted to it. We were convinced 100% that we had our guy. This is the guy that was responsible for the death of Danielle Jennings, and that we were going to send him to prison for the rest of his life.
News of an arrest in Danielle's murder brings relief to her loved ones and surprise.
When they finally discovered who it was, the maintenance man in her apartment building, it was just surreal.
I don't think anybody saw it coming. The killer was much closer to home than anybody first thought.
When I saw his picture, I threw up, knowing that that was the man that strangled my best friend for no reason.
At trial, prosecutors present how they believe the crime unfolded.
The day Danielle was killed, Mr. Oliver had already let himself in, hoping for financial gain. After the HR meeting about her coworker, Danielle went home for lunch by herself. Once she opened the door and stepped in, he knew she was there, and he knew she could not exit again. He was not going to get caught.
He ambushed her from behind with the stocking. He came over her head. He pulled it tight, pushed her down onto the bed until she lost consciousness, and then he tied the ligature off, and there was no way for her to escape. There was no heat of the moment. There was no emotion. He killed Danielle because it made his life easier.
The jury hears about the prosecution's most damning evidence, Danielle's stolen engagement ring.
I had to be the one to testify about the ring because I identified the ring. I actually had to look at that man. I had to sit there and look at him. Calvin Oliver sat there just staring daggers into me, is what he did, and tried everything he could to make me feel uncomfortable. And I took a big, deep breath, and I stared right back at him.
There was no explanation for the presence of this ring in Calvin Oliver's apartment, other than he took it off Danielle Jennings' dead finger.
On October 13th, 2000, after a 5-day trial, the jury delivers their verdict.
He was found guilty on all charges.
The judge sentences Calvin Oliver to life in prison.
When the verdict came through, we were all holding hands. We just knew justice had been served as far as it could be. I mean, we were glad, but it still wasn't going to bring her back. Her mom was never the same again. It destroyed her. That horrible man took away an angel that was put here. She was a huge light to me, to her fiance, to her son. She was everything to a lot of people. To this day, I still dream of her. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss her.
A wealthy commodities trader with the world at his feet.
My brother was a fun-loving guy.
He had anything he wanted. He had a lot of money, the Cadillacs and the Rolex watches.
Is viciously gunned down.
And they shot him again and again and again.
With his wife and kids in the home at the time of the attack.
It was a very traumatic event to the family, with people with guns threatening them.
You can't dismiss the fact it was a home invasion, but a lot of it didn't add up.
I had no idea at all how this could have happened.
Police chased down a number of suspects.
There was a complete falling out between them. Someone could get killed over a debt that they didn't pay.
A sudden disappearance leaves everyone on edge.
There was a traitor. He disappeared off the face of the earth. It was suspected there was foul play involved.
One dead and one missing. Put a different spin on this type of investigation.
Every lead brings investigators to a dead end.
It's very frustrating to have a case that hits a brick wall.
Until 30 years later.
They were holding a very big secret inside.
When the shocking truth is revealed.
Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. That's not even human. That's the devil.
Just 30 minutes outside of Chicago lies Inverness, Illinois.
Inverness is one of the wealthiest suburbs of Chicago. It's a safe, beautiful neighborhood.
Some would call it very rich, very large homes, and very few crimes are ever committed in that area.
But on April 30th, 1979, at 3:20 p.m., police receive a distressing call from a 15-year-old girl named Becky Gamari.
Her words were, "There's been a robbery. My dad's been shot." She was bleeding from the chest. The police responded immediately.
As we entered through the front door, we were met by Becky Gamari. She was crying and pointing downstairs. I went downstairs and I saw a male who was leaning back in the sofa who appeared to have numerous gunshot wounds. There was a woman who was kneeling at the feet of the victim, crying almost in hysterics.
The woman identifies herself as Jackie Gamari. She says the victim is her husband, Carl, and that she and her 3 youngest children, Bobby, Carly, and Nick, were in the home when the intruders stormed in.
Those children must have been terrified and felt so helpless. It's horrifying.
The family were taken out to the squad car so that they were secure and away from everyone.
Investigators set to work processing the crime scene, starting with the body.
I went over to the victim. I didn't find a pulse. There was a number of bullet holes in his chest with the blood basically draining down to his pants. I noticed a 9mm gun, and there were a number of 9mm casings that were strewn about the victim's feet. There was also a small .380 caliber handgun. It appeared that a 9mm was placed to make some type of a statement. This could be a staged killing. The victim, his legs were crossed at his ankles. It didn't appear to be a natural position. I went and took an inventory of what the rest of the house looked like. The bedrooms, the dresser drawers had been opened. A number of items appeared to be tossed on the floor. I could see that there were jewelry boxes that still had jewelry in them, which raises questions as to why they actually came to that residence.
Was this a legitimate robbery? Was this staged to cover something up? You can't dismiss the fact it was a home invasion, but a lot of it didn't add up. It did bring into question that they were there really to kill the victim.
We took a number of fingerprint lifts from the kitchen, the dining room, and the bedroom area.
One of the officers noticed them. There was no forced entry. Nobody kicked in the door or pried it.
As police continue working the scene, Carl's family receives the tragic news.
My sister called me and says, "You better get home, Carl was shot." It's the whole neighborhood where the house was all cordoned off. We were told by the police he's in the house, he's dead, and they're investigating. So we were all like stunned.
When this happened, it was just a huge, huge shock, and we didn't know how to react. Disbelief and just can't be.
Carl Gamari was born in Elmwood Park, Illinois in 1944. He was the third of 4 children.
My brother Carl was a fun-loving guy. You know, he liked to go out and have fun, you know, go on dates with girls and go to parties and things like that.
When Carl was in high school, he met the love of his life.
When he started dating Jackie, he was like 18, and I think she was 17 at the time. He just knew that this was the one, and, you know, he wanted to get married, and he wanted to get married now.
Still teenagers, Carl and Jackie started a family right away.
Carl was excited to be a dad. They had 4 kids. Becky was the oldest, Bobby was the second oldest, Carly was the third daughter, and then Nick was the youngest. He was his son.
By 1977, Carl had the perfect family and the perfect job, working in finance at the Chicago Board of Trade.
Carl climbed up the ladder. He was energetic, and he loved it, and it fit his personality to a T.
He had anything he wanted. He had a lot of money. He came to Cadillacs, Rolex watches, and things like that. He started living a high life.
From the outside, Carl's life seemed picture perfect. But now, his violent death leaves his family shattered.
He's been shot, and I was shocked. You know, no one knew anything. What's going on? I had no idea at all how this could have happened.
Investigators start by interviewing Carl's family, who were also witnesses to the crime.
I took Jackie and the 2 girls out to the garage so I could get a general statement from them as to what occurred.
Jackie was crying and very upset. Becky was crying. Bobby was crying. This was the most traumatic thing children could go through. They said Carl went to work. Jackie was at home with Bobby, her 13-year-old daughter, 5-year-old Carly, and 2-year-old Nick. Around 12 or 12:30, Bobby is laying on the couch, and she's watching TV, and 2 men come in, and they have guns.
She said the 2 men were wearing stocking masks and dark clothing, and they had come in through the unlocked back door.
They point the guns at her, and they ask her, "Where's your mother?" So Bobby leads these men to the master bedroom where Jackie is on the phone. They ask Jackie for her money, and she says, "I only have $20. And they said, "We're here for more than that." These men tie Bobby's hands behind her back, and then they tie up Jackie. They force them into the master bedroom closet with Carly, with baby Nick. Time is passing. Bobby said that she heard a man yelling, "No," who she thought was her father, and she heard 3 banging sounds, which she believed were gunshots.
Becky came home approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon from school. She walked in through the front door, called for her mom. All she heard was crying from the master bedroom. At that time, she found them banging on the closet door to be let out.
Once Becky opens up the closet doors, Bobby went directly down to the basement, and Bobby saw her father's bloody, bullet-ridden body laying on that couch. It is difficult to imagine how terrifying this must have been.
While the family lived through an extremely traumatic ordeal, police are hopeful that with their help, they can catch Carl's killers.
Jackie and Bobby said that the suspects had actually pulled up their masks, so they had their face exposed to them.
Jackie described the first suspect as a male white, mid to late 20s to 30s, tall, dark-haired, and also had a mustache. The second suspect was shorter than the first, slightly heavier, was a white male, but had a pale complexion and facial hair.
Bobby and Jackie were able to do composites of the faces they saw. I think there was a lot of hope somebody's going to recognize these individuals.
When we heard about the sketch, we thought that would be it. They'd be able to find him.
I was hoping to get the information out as quickly as possible with the suspect's description, so that if someone was possibly stopped or seen within the general area, a patrol vehicle could have stopped them.
In Inverness, where crime is virtually non-existent, police believe there is more to this case than meets the eye.
It appeared to be a staged crime. It could be someone who owed money to someone and being shot for that, a jealous boyfriend. It could be a number of different things. You can't close your mind to any possibility at that point in time.
Coming up, investigators uncover sordid secrets.
He might have had some associates who might have been involved with the mob. It definitely raised a red flag.
The killers evade detectives until an unexpected witness steps forward.
You told me how it was going to be done, how they were going to kill Carl.
To reveal a dark and twisted plot no one predicted.
As soon as they knew how Carl was going to be murdered, and that's exactly what happened to him.
That was the missing key.
Police are investigating the murder of commodities trader and father of 4, Carl Gamari. His wife and young family were at home at the time of the terrifying attack.
Jackie and the 2 girls were mostly in shock. They were completely overwhelmed by what was happening.
Jackie and Bobby saw the gunman. Armed with their description, officers go door to door looking for witnesses.
One of the neighbors saw 2 men coming from the Gramaris through her yard, and she thought one of them was carrying like a jewel bag. After that neighbor pointed out where she saw the 2 men walking through her yard, the detectives went back and followed that path. They had found a cigarette butt that still had ash on it by her driveway.
That cigarette butt was collected by the State Police Crime Lab, but in 1979 there was no DNA, so there really wasn't much of the evidence that could be collected off of that cigarette butt.
More witnesses come forward to help police trace the suspect's movements.
There was a woman who was in her car around the time that this incident took place. She stated that she saw a beater-type gray car parked on the side of the street. When she returned approximately 3 o'clock or so, she said that she saw the vehicle oncoming towards her. She said that the driver was a white male. The second passenger in the front was a white male, but he was trying to slump down in the seat. In her words, she thought he was trying to hide himself.
The neighbor who saw that vehicle coming towards her with the two men was also able to do a composite.
It's similar to the one Jackie and Bobby gave police.
Composites are very, very useful. You can put them in the newspaper, you can get them on the news, you can get them out there for people, other agencies, to see if anybody could identify them as possible suspects. So after the canvass was conducted, they then did a sweep of the area between the victim's house and where this car was observed to see if they could find any evidence. They also discovered tire impressions and some footwear impressions that were in the mud there where the car had been parked.
Back at the crime scene, investigators get an unexpected visitor.
I noticed someone approached me and he pulled out his credentials as being a Chicago police officer and told his name was Sam Greco. Sam said that he was a family friend. The girls knew Sam. They felt comfortable around him.
He said that he had been called by the daughter, that something had happened, so he was coming out to see what assistance he could lend.
On the day of the murder, Becky made 2 phone calls. She did call 911. Her next call was to Sam to tell him what had taken place.
Sam originally arrived up the scene about an hour after the initial call. He had advised him that he had been on the phone with Jackie. This was about 12:30 in the afternoon, and that during their conversation, she said somebody was there, and he heard some voices in the background, and then the call was disconnected. So he had offered to give them his phone record so they could try to establish a timeline of when that occurred.
Based on the time of the phone call, police believe the gunman arrived at 12:30 p.m. and left by 3 that afternoon. They spent over 2 hours in the home, a detail that puzzles the investigators.
They spent so much time in the house, which is not normal. Home invaders usually come in, take care of business, and leave. They don't sit around. Second, the amount of items that were left behind didn't indicate that this was a straight-up home invasion.
My question was whether or not they knew that Carl Gamari was coming home at that point in time, and why did they kill him?
Who did it and why? And why my brother? What did he do that he deserved to have his life snuffed away and taken away? We had no idea who it could be.
In their search for answers, detectives turn back to Carl's wife, Jackie.
Anytime you're investigating a murder within a family, you have to look at the surviving spouse. It was clear that Jackie hadn't been the one to shoot Carl. 2 armed invaders came into their house and locked them in the closet. It was very traumatic to the kids and to Jackie to have all of a sudden their peaceful day broken down with people with guns and then threatening them and not letting them move around the house, not knowing what was going to happen next.
They were absolutely terrified even after the suspects had left. It was difficult to get them to concentrate on making a statement. Jackie was crying, upset.
When detectives ask Jackie about her relationship with Carl, she tells them she loved him and that he was her high school sweetheart. But what she reveals about her marriage surprises investigators.
Carl and Jackie had a rather unorthodox situation at times. Over the years, they both had affairs, and they would bring their lovers home.
When you get information like that, that's an important thing to follow up on and look further to see if that has anything to do with what occurred here.
Had the couple's infidelities led to Carl's murder?
You have to look at that as a possibility.
It definitely raised a red flag.
It was definitely shocking.
Detectives investigating the cold-blooded murder of Carl Gamari have learned he and his wife, Jackie, had both been unfaithful.
That's a big red flag and needs to be looked at very thoroughly.
Jackie tells police they had recently agreed to work on their marriage.
They seemed to be getting better as you got into 1979. They were trying to work it out.
They went on a romantic vacation. They were making a plan to do another big trip to Africa. They were buying a new house, and they would tell friends that, yeah, things are getting back together for us. We're going to make an effort to make this work, especially because of the kids.
A year before the murder, the couple had even decided to renew their vows.
We as a family thought, wow, this is nice. This is really nice to see, you know, that they wanted to get together and they have us there witness the renewing of their vows.
They were like two lovebirds. He was gleaming from ear to ear, and so was Jackie, and they seemed like a wonderful couple.
While Jackie was also a victim in this crime, detectives still need to know if she'd have anything to gain financially from Carl's death.
It was learned that there was only about a $30,000 life insurance policy. Carl had never signed a will, which ties it up in court, and it could be 7 years before you see any of the financial gain from this. And so this kind of cleared Jackie of being in the spotlight of the investigation.
Investigators consider whether Carl and Jackie's renewed marriage could have driven one of their former lovers to murder. When they ask Jackie who she had an affair with, her answer is surprising.
Jackie and Sam Greco had an affair.
She said that she had dated Sam for quite some time, but that she had broken off the relationship with Sam to recommit to her marriage with Carl.
Jackie had said when she became pregnant with Nick, she stopped seeing Sam.
Detectives need to know, was Sam a jealous ex? Could he have killed Carl to have Jackie to himself?
Sam was interviewed once on the phone and then again in person. He had met Jackie at a wedding, and he was doing some private investigative work, and Jackie had hired him to follow Carl to see if he was having an affair. There was an indication from Sam's investigation that Carl was having an affair.
And that ultimately led to them initiating a relationship.
Sam also told the investigators that he and Jackie had been lovers, but they were now just friends.
Sam denied any involvement with this case.
They took his phone records, fingerprinted them, and they interviewed individuals associated with Sam.
He was considered a hero within the Chicago Police Department. The police back then still investigated him as much as they could.
The investigators ruled him out as not being involved in this.
With Sam eliminated from the investigation, detectives next look at the woman with whom Carl had been having an affair.
Gail Kayak was someone whom Carl had actually hired and worked with.
When Gail was interviewed, her description was it was kind of two adults having some fun together. It was nothing serious. She knew it was going nowhere. She knew Carl was married.
Gail tells investigators she and Carl broke things off about a year ago, and that there wasn't any animosity between them.
She ended up, after the relationship was over between her and Carl, had a boyfriend, got pregnant. Given the affair had been over for a year, it just made really no sense that she would be involved in this in any way.
Just when detectives think they've hit another dead end, Gail gives them a stunning new lead. She says they need to speak to Carl's former friend and colleague, Ned Kaiser.
Ned Kaiser was one of the closer people to Carl at the Board of Trade. They had worked together there for a while. They socialized.
Gail claims Ned not only knew about her affair with Carl, but told Jackie about it.
Carl and Ned were friends. Carl would use his apartment to be with his girlfriend. Ned ultimately got upset with Carl, told Jackie that Carl was using his place to be with his girlfriend. Once Carl found out that Ned was the one who told Jackie about Gail, that soured the relationship.
Gail also tells police Ned had a dark reputation.
She had rumored that he had ties to organized crime. Whenever you're dealing with people with money and investment and all, there's always a possibility that someone could get killed over a debt that they didn't pay.
Had Carl and Ned fallen out over money? Had Ned put out a hit on his former friend?
You always look at the big picture. Business dealings with Ned, him betraying Carl to Jackie about using his place, Ned having some possible mob connections. I think you got to look at everything. You have to see what's there. Where does that lead you? Is this a person who has a reason to kill Carl?
Police are following a tip that the murder of successful trader Carl Gamari may have been a targeted hit, one organized by his former friend and co-worker, Ned Kaiser.
Ned Kaiser might have been, quote-unquote, involved with the mob.
During the 1970s, Chicago was very much involved with the criminal network of the mob, and a number of people wound up dead every year.
Organized crime had a hand in gambling. From information obtained from co-workers and people that knew Carl, he gambled at the Board of Trade, he would gamble outside. Well, if individuals are gambling like that, then chances are they would cross paths with organized crime people.
5 days after the homicide, Ned is brought in for an interview. Police ask about his friendship and working relationship with Carl.
The relationship with Ned and Kaiser and Carl and the family was an extensive, involved one. They had known each other for approximately 9 years, and at one point, when Ned was going through a divorce, they actually let him move into their house.
Ned says that's why he had a hard time keeping Carl's affair secret.
Ned had told investigators that the reason he came forward to Jackie was because he was friends with both of them, and he just felt that Jackie was being mistreated by the way Carl was acting and needed to correct it.
Detectives ask Ned if Carl was indebted to him, or if they had any conflict about money.
Ned denied ever having any kind of a fight with Carl. Ned was asked if he had any involvement, if he knew anything about Carl's murder, and he denied having any direct knowledge. There was nothing that anyone could dig up that would say Ned was responsible for Carl's death.
The investigators took a very hard look at him to see if there was any way that he could have committed this crime. And they were able to rule him out. There was no evidence connecting him to the murder of Carl Gamari.
Investigators are forced to let Ned go.
The police talked to everyone that they possibly could. If they talked to one person and that person mentioned other people, they went and talked to those people as well. And then it gets to a point where there's just no other leads to pursue at that time. So the police are essentially waiting for new information.
Authorities once again turn to the public in an attempt to find the men who killed Carl and terrorized his family.
Their composites are very critical in our ongoing investigation in identifying the shooters.
I remember cutting out all the headlines and all that. Boy, something's going to be recognized with the sketch, and something's going to happen with this and come about from it. But days would go on and nothing.
When the sketches were released,
Charlie Allen Jr. disappeared on Thursday, October 11th, 2007. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Charlie Allen's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to him. 22-year-old college student and tennis buff Charlie Allen goes after life with gusto.
He would eat, sleep, and breathe tennis.
If he wanted to be good at something, he wanted to be the best.
One afternoon, in typical Charlie fashion, he makes plans with a buddy to go to a party.
Charlie was really excited about the chance to go talk to girls and just to have a good time.
But he never shows up. On a chilly October night in 2007, Charlie Allen Jr. disappears.
I was trying him on his phone, no response.
The mystery deepens when his Facebook account is abruptly deleted, and he warns his family that people may be after him.
He said there are people after him, and he's not safe.
Police are baffled by the bizarre case.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this.
And his loved ones find themselves ricocheting between hope and despair.
I just felt like he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
It's a chilly evening in southeastern Massachusetts in October 2007. 22-year-old UMass Dartmouth student Charlie Allen is running barefoot and shirtless along a wooded road a few miles from campus. The tennis junkie, who was once one of the world's top-ranked online gamers, is sure that someone is after him and that neither he nor his family is safe. This dash into the night will resonate with Charlie's loved ones as the moment everything went wrong. Just a few days earlier, Charlie heads over to nearby Providence, Rhode Island to meet his younger sister, Brittany. 15 months apart, the two siblings are very close and see each other often.
Charlie and I grew up together. We did everything together. We always had like that connection. We would always be there for each other, you know? We saw each other all the time.
They catch up over lunch with their mother, Anne, who comes down to see her kids a couple of times a month from her home a little more than an hour-and-a-half drive north in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
That was a great day. I just remember leaving feeling happy. He was doing good in school, played tennis, and he seemed happy. And I remember driving home feeling really good.
Charlie is the oldest of 3 kids in a tight-knit family.
Very close. Charlie and I could talk about anything and everything. He told me more, sometimes things I didn't really want to know.
Was a great kid growing up. Enjoyed playing baseball and was very good at school. He enjoyed life and he did well. He was in the honor society. He could get good grades without even trying hard.
Charlie grows up hanging out with friends in the neighborhood and enjoying vacations at the family's summer house in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Charlie had a lot of neighborhood friends, and our house was one of the gathering places.
It was just always like the light of the party. He was just very outgoing and just liked to have a good time.
He was a good guy. He seemed like, he had everything in order.
In high school, Charlie becomes interested in online gaming, competitions in which multiple players compete over the internet. He becomes especially good at the game Half-Life.
He was very determined. He would put a lot of time and effort into anything to make himself the best, and he was the best.
When Charlie first got into online gaming, he fell in love with it. He wanted to be #1.
Charlie's gamer name is Neo, and he soon becomes one of the top-ranked Half-Life players in the world, even traveling to Texas for a tournament.
He was considered the #1 player in the world. Standings, his stats, if you looked him up online, that would easily tell that.
He was very well regarded, one of the best in the world, and a lot of people knew him for that. They wrote articles about him and that kind of thing, so it was pretty impressive.
I remember in high school, and some stranger walked up to me and was like, "Are you Neo's sister?" It's like, yeah, I guess so. It's like, I love him.
After graduating high school, Charlie enrolls at UMass Dartmouth. He majors in psychology and gets good grades. He even thinks about going on to medical school after graduation. Having conquered the online gaming world, Charlie shifts his focus to tennis when he gets to college. He approaches it with the same determination to learn and be the best.
He ended up making the college team, would dedicate himself to to something, a passion, and he would spend pretty much all his time working at that particular thing and until he felt he was mastering it.
It was all he talked about. He would study it, the strategies of the game, and he would play all the time. He would eat, sleep, and breathe tennis.
He was always a happy-go-lucky guy, always had a positive attitude.
On the courts at UMass Dartmouth, Charlie meets fellow student Mason Vio.
I had gone down there to practice. I had seen him. He had asked me to hit, so we started hitting and we got it off from there.
The two quickly bond over their mutual love of tennis.
Charlie was a quick learner. He had developed his skills pretty quickly, and he had a good forehand. He liked coming to the net, and he was able to stay out there with anyone.
Charlie is fascinated when Mason tells him he trained at tennis academies in Florida, something Charlie aspires to do himself.
Charlie wanted to get a lot better. He had always said he wanted to go down south and just train to see how good he could get.
At 2 o'clock on Thursday, October 11th, 2007, Charlie and Mason meet on the courts to practice.
We had practiced for 2.5 hours, just playing a little bit and just doing some drills. Nothing really seemed out of the ordinary. We had a great practice.
Charlie tells Mason that he's been invited to a party later that evening by a member of the girls' tennis team. He asks Mason to join him.
He was really excited about the party, the chance to go talk to girls on the tennis team and just have a good time. Charlie was really excited and was happy that we were both going to go.
The two friends grab dinner at the school cafeteria and then go their separate ways to shower and clean up. They agree to meet back on campus at 8:30 and go to the party together. Around 6 p.m., Mason heads to his house nearly a half hour away. Mason assumes Charlie is headed to his off-campus apartment in nearby New Bedford.
I had told Charlie that I would see him later tonight and the party should be good, and I will give you a call when I get back.
At 8 o'clock that night, at her apartment in Providence, Charlie's sister Brittany is checking her Facebook account.
We talked to each other on Facebook every day. He loved Facebook.
Charlie had messaged her earlier that evening, and she wanted to get back to him. But when she logs on, she is shocked at what she finds. Coming up, in a matter of moments, Charlie's world appears to unravel.
I could hear over the phone his heart dropping. He got really scared.
Famous among his friends and family for his passion for tennis, 22-year-old Charlie Allen Jr. is finishing up his senior year of college. October 11th, 2007, his sister Brittany logs onto Facebook to respond to a message Charlie sent her earlier. She is thrown by what she discovers.
His account was deleted. He didn't exist on there anymore. And so I thought it was crazy that all of a sudden he would delete it and he wouldn't even tell me.
Brittany calls Charlie to find out what happened.
At first I was just like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm walking. I'm thinking about going to this girl's party. I was like, okay, well, called because I was wondering, why did you delete your Facebook? And I could just like hear over the phone him, like his heart dropping. It was like all of a sudden, he got really scared.
Brittany is confused when Charlie tells her he has no idea what happened to his Facebook page and that he didn't delete it.
And then he just started panicking. He's talking really fast, just in a panic.
What Charlie tells her next is stunning.
There are people after him, and he's not safe, and I'm not safe. It's like, you have to leave school right now. You have to go home, stay with Dad. Dad's the only one who can protect you. There are really important people after me. I've sent some emails, and I'm not safe. Right before he hung up, he said, all the answers are in the periodic table of elements.
Distraught and bewildered, Brittany calls her father.
I was really freaked out, and I called my dad crying, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but Charlie he just scared me.
Brittany had been very close to Charlie, but with the way that he was talking to her, she was very concerned about his well-being. And at the same time, my wife and I both had received cell phone messages from Charlie where he sounded like he was running and talking about maybe heading south. You know, it was definitely concerning.
In the message Charlie leaves for his father, he mentions Mexico and Florida. In the voicemail he leaves for his mother, he talks of Texas.
I had a message from Charlie, which was really out of character of him. He had told me that he needs to be loved more and that he felt isolated. He was running at the time that he was talking to me. He was out of breath. And then he kind of hung up abruptly. And I tried calling him back, and he had turned off his cell phone.
Charlie's parents and sister all try to reach him on his cell phone, but every call goes to voicemail. That same evening, on the UMass Dartmouth campus, Mason heads to the campus parking lot where he and Charlie are meeting to go to the party together. But Charlie never shows.
I'd waited about a half an hour to 45 minutes before I had left. I figured Charlie probably went to the party and just forgot about me.
Mason tries one more time to reach Charlie. He gets voicemail and heads home. Meanwhile, Charlie's mother, father, and sister keep trying, but fail to reach him.
Charlie had taken off a couple of times, usually just to go see a tennis tournament. He'd always get in touch with us the same day or the next day, and so we figured he'd turn up the next day.
But Charlie doesn't turn up, and he doesn't call. His parents notify the university that Charlie has vanished. October 14th, 2007. 3 days after Charlie is last seen, police are called to investigate something suspicious a homeowner found in his backyard. Detective Robert Levinson of the Dartmouth Police Department is the patrolman on duty.
On Sunday, October 14th, at around 11 o'clock in the morning, I was dispatched to a residence in town for some found property. Specifically, it was a backpack, a school-type backpack.
Levinson looks through the backpack and finds a notebook.
The name in the notebook was Charles Allen. I contacted the university campus, and from there I found out that Charles Allen Jr. had been reported missing.
Bloodhound units are sent out to see what, if any, trace they can find of the college student. The canine search comes up empty, but over at UMass Dartmouth, campus police make a discovery. They find Charlie's Ford Expedition in a school parking lot. Inside the car is a pillow and blanket.
It appeared as if that maybe Charlie had been sleeping in his vehicle rather than in his home.
Up to this point, Charlie's family has assumed they would hear from him at any moment. But their concern turns to fear with the discovery of Charlie's car.
When they found his car, that's when I I couldn't deal with it, because why would he leave his car?
Monday, October 15th, the day after the car and backpack are discovered. Officer Levinson is talking about the case with a fellow cop. When he describes Charlie, his colleague tells him that the college student sounds just like a suspect in another case.
There had actually been a housebreak not too far away from the campus.
In the early morning hours of Friday, October 12th, a little more than 6 hours after Brittany last spoke to her brother, Jean Boudreau wakes to find someone with no shirt on climbing through her second-floor bedroom window.
When she awoke, she had a brief conversation with this gentleman who had entered her window.
And he says, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am, I'm just leaving." He was looking for his friend Mason, and then he just proceeded to go out the window. He was actually very polite.
Levinson is sure it's Charlie. The physical description is a match, and he has already learned that Charlie has a friend named Mason.
just based on the physical description and the clothing description of the person who entered this resident's home. That person was more than likely Charlie Allen.
This discovery only intensifies the mystery. Charlie's tennis buddy lives nowhere near the home that was broken into.
It was a good 30 minutes away, and he had known where I lived. So I thought that was a little strange.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Coming up, the search for Charlie becomes more urgent.
Time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
College student Charlie Allen Jr. leaves a series of worrisome messages on his parents' cell phone, and after a disturbing conversation with his sister, he disappears. When investigators seemingly tie the 22-year-old to a break-in at a home several miles from Charlie's UMass campus, the case becomes even more puzzling.
Charlie was not a known criminal. This wasn't his normal behavior to break into someone's house.
But police learned something about Charlie that they think may explain this behavior.
The father told me that his son was bipolar and manic depressive, and he had acted irrational at times, and he might not have been taking his medication as he was supposed to. So it would all make sense that he was in some type of a manic state, and he was acting irrational.
Years earlier in high school, Charlie was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition that involves alternating periods of mania and depression.
He became a bit manic, and was a pretty big change for him. He had been somewhat shy in school up to that point, and suddenly he was very outgoing, and it was noticeable. When he was manic, he talked a lot and fast, and he had somewhat grandiose thoughts. When he was diagnosed in high school, he took medication for some period of time and started seeing a therapist and seemed to do better. He finished high school, graduated, and it went well when he went to college.
But in recent years, Charlie had an on-again, off-again relationship with his psychiatric medication.
When they diagnosed him with bipolar disorder and they put him on mood stabilizers, he said he wasn't the same. He felt dead inside. He didn't get happy or sad. I remember one time I was so upset about something, hysterically crying to him about it, and he looked at me and he was like, "I'm just jealous that you can feel like that, feel passionately about something, even if it's bad," because he didn't.
The summer before he disappeared, Charlie stopped taking the drugs altogether.
Eventually, he stopped taking the medication on his own. Things had leveled out. He tried to maintain his physical well-being in relationship to his mental well-being, and he seemed like he was somewhat under control doing it that way.
He was like, "I wasn't alive before. I feel like I'm living for the first time."
Police suspect Charlie's disappearance is connected to his bipolar disorder, and that off his medication, he may have slipped into a manic state.
We believed that we were dealing with a mentally ill individual, and time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
But the people who know Charlie best, his family and friends, find it impossible to believe that Charlie's condition is serious enough to make him want to disappear.
People don't understand, mental illness, where people call mental illness, and once they hear that label, it's like, oh, he probably just ran away, or he's probably schizophrenic, he has no idea, he's just crazy. I think he's more sane than anyone I've ever met.
Even when Charlie was manic, he always made sense. He never lost his touch with reality.
Charlie's mother, who saw him just days before he disappeared, says there would usually be a build-up to a manic episode, and during her recent visit with her son, there was no evidence of that at all.
It starts off slow and it builds and it builds and it builds. That's the way it was with Charlie. You just don't lose your mind in 1 minute and run away.
There were no signs indicating that he was going to have a breakdown of any kind, so it all seemed a little strange to me.
In fact, Mason, who saw Charlie several times a week, had no idea his friend was bipolar.
That was news to me because he had always been really level-headed, happy-go-lucky. It hung out with him a lot. There was nothing to suggest that he was depressed or bipolar at all.
But in hindsight, Mason does remember something a little odd from the last day he saw Charlie.
At dinner time, Charlie and I went to the school cafeteria, and when we had sat down, he reached across to grab pizza from my plate. I thought that was a little strange. I'd mentioned it, and he said he thought that it was his slice of pizza. We both kind of laughed it off.
In another strange twist, police also learned that shortly before he disappeared, Charlie legally changed his name from Charles Allen Jr. to Neo Babson Maximus.
One day, I got home from work, and he's like, check this out. I changed my name. And he took out his license, and he showed it to me, and it said, Neo Babson Maximus. And I just laughed. I was like, you serious? What the hell is this? I just kind of like brushed it aside, like, well, I'm still calling you Charlie. I'm not calling you Neo in the public.
Neo, Charlie's online gaming name, is taken from the movie The Matrix, while Maximus comes from the film Gladiator. Babson is a family name.
I asked him why, and he wanted it to be different. And he wanted to be the best tennis player in the world. That was his goal. And he thought that it sounded a lot better if he had a different name.
Charlie didn't talk widely of the name change. In fact, many are later surprised to find out about it.
Charlie had never mentioned anything about changing his name. I did not know Charlie had changed his name until after he had gone missing.
Police see the name change as further evidence of Charlie's troubled state of mind.
I don't know what makes a person decide to change their name. Not only do we have a person that's missing, we have an individual that legally changed his name, and perhaps, did he do that to escape his past, to start a new life? Maybe, I don't know. I guess there's so many possible answers out there.
Charlie's family last heard from him on a Thursday. A week later, there is still no word.
I just felt like, he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
His parents think back to the baffling voicemails he left each of them just before his disappearance, talking about heading south. His last conversation with his sister Brittany is equally confusing. Charlie told Brittany that people were after him and he wasn't safe, but none of his friends are aware of any danger he may have been facing or any enemies he may have had.
Charlie didn't have any enemies. I mean, he was just a happy guy and was everyone's friend. So for him to have enemies was a little far-fetched, it seemed.
The kid wasn't really a troublesome kid. I mean, he never picked fights. He wasn't like a mean person. I don't know why he said that.
Police don't find any evidence to indicate that anyone is after Charlie or that he had been in danger. But Charlie's mother and sister don't believe Charlie's fears are imaginary.
I didn't think that there was any chance in hell that he was just having an illusion that there were people after him. I could tell that he was being honest. He was really scared, and I believe it.
Coming up, could Charlie have hitched a ride out of town?
I feel confident that it was that student.
Get more Disappeared online at investigationdiscovery.com. Charlie Allen Jr. is last seen in early October 2007. The college student suffers from bipolar disorder, and police seemingly link him to a home break-in. Law enforcement devotes every resource available to search around the UMass Dartmouth campus and in neighboring New Bedford.
I think the fact that Charlie did suffer from some type of mental illness made it all the more urgent to search the woods and to reach out to as many people who knew Charlie and that maybe had seen him within the last few days before he disappeared.
Police find Charlie's sneakers along a road not far from the house he allegedly broke into, which seems to confirm their suspicion that he was the shirtless intruder.
The search escalated from the use of Massachusetts State Police helicopter to a widespread search with multiple people searching for Charlie in the wooded area. It's a very dense wooded area in that part of Dartmouth.
Now, with no shirt, no shoes, and wearing just a pair of warm-up pants, how far could the college student have made it in the cool, rainy October weather?
If anybody could figure out a way to survive, it would be Charlie. He knew how to take care of himself, and so he was definitely the type of person that would find a way if he wanted to.
When Charlie's family reports that he had a very active online life, police check Charlie's computer for possible clues to his whereabouts.
There was nothing really all that helpful on his computer that would lead us in a different direction. The detective who checked the computer did not report anything out of the ordinary.
The only finding of interest is that one of the last pages Charlie looked at online was a website for the University of Texas. In the voicemail he left for his mother, he mentioned going to Texas. Had Charlie been researching a secret move south?
We contacted the university down there and just to inquire whether Charlie had in fact applied at that university, and we were told that no, there was no file with his name attached to it.
If Charlie had an interest in going to Texas, he would tell me, because he knows I would say, if you want to do that, hon, do it.
Charlie's mother is more concerned with what police didn't find on his computer. Charlie had told his sister he was in trouble because he had sent some emails to important people, but those emails are nowhere to be found. In fact, all of Charlie's recent emails are missing.
There were no emails before he went missing. There were no emails from October 11, 10th, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. But I just thought it was really strange.
Blows my mind that we could give Charlie's computer to the police to do the forensics, and someone who lived his entire life on the computer. They found nothing. He, lived a virtual life, and they found nothing.
If there is any truth to the notion that someone was after Charlie, could they have tampered with his computer and purposely wiped it clean? Or could it have been Charlie himself who did it? Could the online phenom have intended to take himself off the grid?
If he wanted to change his identity, I'm pretty sure he could have done it. I mean, he's pretty creative in, the terms of being able to, act, and be something, different. He did change his name, so I guess in a sense his identity was kind of altered already.
According to his friends and family, Charlie had a knack for mastering things quickly. Could he have been equally adept at setting up his own disappearance? Was changing his name a first step in creating a new identity?
Sure. He loved his apartment, he loved his classes, he loved playing tennis, and then all of a sudden it's all gone.
Charlie has been missing for more than a week. With no news concerning his whereabouts, his family is getting increasingly desperate.
We couldn't sleep, trouble eating, crying all day. It was just unimaginable. It actually was just, difficult to function. Every second of every day, you'd be thinking about it. And it's just totally unimaginable.
Did Charlie flee in a manic state brought on by bipolar disorder? Did he decide to create a new identity someplace else? Or, as he told his sister, were people really after him?
There are numerous scenarios as to what could have happened to Charlie Allen. He was in our town, someone had seen him, someone had interacted with him. After that, it's anyone's guess what happened.
Finally, a few weeks after Charlie is last seen, a witness comes forward. Jim Costa is an electric company troubleshooter. On a Saturday morning in October 2007, he leaves early for work.
Driving down Cross Road, I did notice a young man no shirt on, and he looked rather disheveled. He looked shaken. He didn't look that good. And I saw that young man walking towards a truck, maybe to ask for help, or maybe he was slept in that truck. I didn't know.
While the young man sounds like he could be Charlie, Costa is not able to remember exactly when he saw him, the Saturday just days after Charlie disappeared, or the Saturday a week later.
If it was the right day, I feel confident that it was that student.
The intersection is near the UMass Dartmouth campus. It is also along Route 6, a major thoroughfare that feeds right onto Interstate 195.
We haven't been able to confirm if that was in fact Charlie.
But if it was, what happened? Did he approach the truck driver for help or a ride?
It's possible he could have gotten on the truck and left the area. That opens up a whole new door for us, or for the family. It gives us hope that maybe Charlie is alive.
December 2007. Charlie has been missing for more than 2 months, and the trail is growing cold.
After a certain time frame in any investigation, after a couple of searches had been conducted, the phone stopped ringing. The leads just weren't coming in. We sort of hit a wall in the investigation.
It just became more excruciating. You know, anxiety increased tenfold every day with nothing being found.
While Charlie's shoes and backpack were quickly located, there is no sign of his cell phone or his wallet. His father keeps Charlie's bank and cell phone accounts active, just in case.
The bank card was never used after he had disappeared. And actually the cell phone itself, I still have the account active, just in case. Every time the phone rang here at home, it would be, your heart would jump. You think it's him or somebody calling about him. Every time, you know, you hear a car pull up or somebody come to the door, you think it could be him.
For about 5 or 6 months, I called him every single day, multiple times. I'd leave him like voicemails and stuff, to the point where you couldn't leave him voicemails anymore. The phone would just keep ringing or it would just hang up on you.
Charlie's family prays for answers, but as the days wear on, they are left with only questions. Where is he? What happened to him, and why hasn't he called? It is impossible for them to believe that Charlie has intentionally cut them off. But it is even more horrifying to imagine that he may have done so against his will.
So it's just like you're suspended. Sometimes I pray for answers and then I think, oh wait, is that really what I want? What if, you know, he's dead, but it still eats away at you, you know? You can't find peace unless you figure it out.
Coming up, a group of private investigators and a fresh search offer new and disturbing leads in the case.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped.
The disappearance of 22-year-old college student Charlie Allen Jr. devastates his family and confounds police.
It's very frustrating. Is it possible he's out there and doesn't really remember who he is? I don't know. I personally would like to believe that he's alive and he's out there somewhere.
Several months after Charlie's disappearance, his family is dismayed by the lack of movement in the investigation. They reach out to a private investigator, John Lassise.
Charlie Allen Sr. contacted me, and they were just devastated that they hadn't been able to locate him. Described him as very intelligent, loved his family, and they knew that he was off his medication. He was manic. He believed that he was being stalked. People were after him and his family.
Lassise takes on the case pro bono and forms a cold case team with several other PIs to help. They start by considering the area where Charlie was last seen and weighing whether or not he could still be somewhere in the vicinity.
Could he be in the woods? Absolutely. He may have committed suicide. He may have fallen into foul play. It's all a possibility.
The first order of business is to organize a new and comprehensive search of the 4-square-mile wooded area bordering UMass Dartmouth. The terrain is dense and difficult to navigate. Alive or dead, if Charlie is in the woods, Lassise is confident that they'll find him. Police have already explored the area, but Lassise and his partners plan a much larger and deeper search, employing ground searchers, ATVs, helicopters, canine units, and cadaver dogs. More than 300 people take part, and the massive effort kicks off on the year anniversary of Charlie's disappearance.
This search is the largest civilian-run search that we're aware of in New England.
Private investigator Alan Tate coordinates the search. As guides, he uses Charlie's last known location, as well as where his shoes and backpack were found.
To search this area here, although on the map it looks nice, wide, and open, on the ground it's very thick and very difficult for ground searchers to navigate through.
Charlie's friend Anthony is one of the many volunteer searchers.
I was kind of hoping we didn't find anything, because obviously who wants to, I mean, you want closure sometimes, but at the same time, I mean, I'm the type where I don't want to give up, so it's like I don't want like an ending that's not positive.
But on the third day of the search, a team including Charlie's own cousin comes across some bones.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped. Obviously, after that period of time, you know, it's almost like you might expect it's going to happen, that they would find him. You know, so it was, your hearts drop, but you feel like this is finally it.
For like 24 hours, we didn't know if they were his bones. It's not a fun situation to be in.
When they found the bones, I couldn't even describe to you what that feels like. We just pretty much died.
But the bones turn out to be animal, not human remains.
It was difficult to do the search, but it was something that was necessary to do. We knew it needed to be done, and in my opinion, the outcome was good. You know, that he wasn't found.
I was just exhilarated. You didn't find anything.
I don't believe that Charlie is in the woods. I believe at this point that Charlie made it out.
But where did he go? While the search indicates that it is unlikely Charlie or his body is in the woods, it still offers no clues to what happened to the college student.
There's so many different ways you can look at it. I personally am trying to remain positive. I'd like to think that he's out there somewhere and he's still alive. I think that if Charlie had passed away, I think we would have come across him by now.
The only place to go with this investigation right now is to assume that he is alive and see if we can find him.
As the months pass, there is no word from Charlie and no sign of him anywhere. The investigation appears to have hit a dead end, but his friends remain hopeful.
I feel like wherever he wanted to go, he had a plan. And if the plan didn't work out, you know, 100% the way he wanted it to, the way he thinks, he would have a backup plan. He would have ways of getting by if stuff didn't go the way he wanted it to go.
I think Charlie wandered off. I think he probably is somewhere down south playing tennis like he wanted to.
December 2009. More than 2 years since Charlie disappeared, there's a possible sighting of him much closer to home.
It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was sleeping.
Stephen Kelly and his wife are asleep in bed in their New Bedford, Massachusetts home, 11 miles from the UMass Dartmouth campus.
I heard the door knock. So, you know, I ran to the door, and I opened the door, and there was a young man standing at the door. Wasn't dressed for the weather. He shouldn't have been outside at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said he needed help getting back to SMU.
SMU stands for Southeastern Massachusetts University, what UMass Dartmouth was called until 1991.
My wife was panicking. She thought that it was maybe going to be like home invasion if I went outside. So we shut the door and called the police.
But by the time police get there, the young man is nowhere to be found. The next day, Kelly's wife mentions the incident to a friend, who tells her about Charlie's disappearance. When Kelly hears about it, he looks up pictures of the UMass student online.
When I looked at the pictures, I'm like, that's the kid that was standing at our front door.
Could it have been Charlie Allen? Kelly tells police he thinks it was.
He said close to 100%, which is very high for someone to, make that type of a statement. But, I believe in his mind that, he really felt that he saw Charlie. It brings sort of a new element to this whole investigation. When I think about it sometimes, I think this is it's such an odd story that sometimes you almost wonder, if it's real or not.
It would be a wonderful movie of the week if Charlie shows up some morning on the doorstep of his parents and asks if he can come home. So that's my hope.
Charlie's information and fingerprints are entered into the National Crime Information Center database.
In the future, if Charlie is placed under arrest or protective custody, and if his fingerprints are checked, it will show that he's a missing person.
To date, there have been no hits.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this. So you just want answers. I know the family wants it. I know all the investigators. We just want to know. We want to know what happened to Charlie Allen Jr. All we ask for is some closure, I think. That's what the family deserves, at least. He's still out there, somewhere.
Charlie's family continues to hope that Charlie is safe and that they will one day hear from him.
Charlie would never just disappear. And he knows me well enough and his family to know that how much it would hurt. I have no idea where he is or if he's alive. It's like the ultimate internal struggle. Because you can't really grieve over something that you don't know.
I don't believe for 1 minute that Charlie left because he wanted to. He just wouldn't.
I have to hold out hope that Charlie's still out there. I have no other choice. I can't give in to the thought that I'll never see him again.
Leah Roberts disappeared on Monday, March 13th, 2000. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Leah Roberts' last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. After a series of personal tragedies, 23-year-old Leah Roberts is questioning the deeper meaning of life.
Leah wanted to see the world and spread her wings.
But no one expects Leah to leave the way she does.
She didn't tell anyone that she was going somewhere.
Then, a cryptic note and a money trail hint at where Leah the adventure seeker has gone.
I could see that she was headed west on I-40.
I thought that was just her course.
It's a soul-searching journey that comes to an unexpected halt, almost 3,000 miles away.
There's no sign of Leah. Where could she have gone?
That car has something to tell us.
It's March 2000. 23-year-old Leah Roberts sits at her usual table, writing in her journal and trying to figure out life's next move.
She used to hang out at this coffee shop, Cup of Joe. I think she would have loved to write the next great American novel. For her, it was a way to get things down on paper and probably good for her soul.
Leah was very philosophical. I guess some people would call her an old soul. She seemed like somebody who was really wise beyond her years.
Just a few credits away from earning a degree in Spanish and anthropology from North Carolina State University, Leah has decided there is more to life than graduating college.
She kind of resented it and disagreed with the fact that you should get a degree to move on with life.
She was interested in, that life adventure, figuring out why we're here, what we're doing.
But even with her free spirit, Leah's older siblings feel quitting school months before graduation is a rash decision.
I remember talking to her one time and saying, just tough this out for 6 months. And, you know, she didn't like being told that.
It's Thursday morning. Leah Roberts gets a routine call from her older sister in Durham to see how she's doing.
It was kind of the same sort of conversations about what she was going to do with her life, but nothing to indicate that I wasn't going to talk to her the next day.
With just 2 years between them, the sisters are close and talk often. But even with their solid relationship, Kara has no idea what is about to transpire.
We didn't make plans. I think it's just one of those things. I'll talk to you when I talk to you next. There was no reason to be concerned.
But close friends have been noticing changes in Leah's personality and have concerns of their own.
She would go out places by herself and she would meet people while she was out, which, you know, isn't that big of a deal. But then to be doing it constantly and then really not having any contact with your friends, I was definitely worried about that.
She would go to the coffee shop all day and she would work on her computer and she would, you know, make new friends, people that got her thinking outside of Raleigh, you know, and Durham.
It's hard for Leah's core group of friends to see the outgoing girl they grew up with pulling away from them, especially knowing how difficult the previous several years have been for Leah and her family. When Leah was just 17 years old and a senior in high school, her safe and carefree life in the suburbs of Durham was interrupted. Her father was diagnosed with a life-threatening respiratory disease. While dealing with one seriously ill parent, the Roberts siblings had no idea that another storm was brewing.
We always kind of focused on my dad, but my mom was not doing so well all along, and it wasn't quite as obvious.
Leah was just 20 years old, a sophomore in college, when her mother died suddenly from heart disease.
It's kind of the first realization of your own mortality. So to experience that at Leah's age, I think would be even more, you know, of a shake to the foundation of your life and your beliefs. She
wrote about feeling like she had been born again, born into this new life without a mom.
After taking some time off from school, Leah returned to NC State the following semester in the fall of 1998. It was then that Leah suffered yet another life-changing event.
A transfer truck turned in front of her, and she had no choice but to run straight into it.
The near-fatal accident left Leah with a punctured lung and shattered femur, requiring doctors to place a metal rod inside her leg.
She talked about feeling like she was going to die immediately before the crash.
But given a second chance, Leah decided she was going to live life to the fullest.
Leah was somebody who wanted to see the world and spread her wings.
She studied a semester abroad in Spain and then enlisted for a field study program in Costa Rica. Then, just 3 weeks before she was scheduled to leave, in the spring of 1999, Leah's father passed away.
Leah's faced with, you know, do I stick around here for the summer or do I continue with my plans and go to Costa Rica? So a month or so after Dad passed away, she headed down to Costa Rica.
I went to visit with her just to have a vacation. I was worried about her during our time in Costa Rica because she did not seem to be affected at all by her father's death.
Instead of mourning for her father, Leah decided to make the most of her experience in Costa Rica. Her time there seemed to have a big impact on her changing worldviews.
I do think that she rejected the idea that she had to live her life the same way that everybody around her was living theirs.
Now, 8 months after her trip to Costa Rica, it is clear that Leah Roberts wants to break free from her past. She's been taking guitar lessons, dabbling in photography, and spending hours documenting life in her journals.
She was buying a lot of music, buying a lot of books. It was almost like she was searching for something.
After talking to her sister earlier that morning, Leah confirms a plan to babysit with her roommate the next day.
We had made plans on that Friday to go babysit. Friday came and she never showed up. I thought maybe she forgot or maybe something came up and she just wasn't able to do it.
When Nicole returns home and Leah is not there, she doesn't think much of it.
We sometimes didn't see each other for a day or two. I would get up for work and she would still be in bed, or she'd be in bed when I got home from work, so it didn't seem unusual to me.
But after 2 days pass and still no sign of Leah or her car, Nicole starts receiving phone calls that are cause for concern.
She had missed people and had made all these different plans.
But she never made it to any of the plans that she half started. So then we were really worried.
Coming up, Leah's sister finds a cryptic note in Leah's bedroom.
It was just out there.
After surviving the deaths of her parents and a near-fatal car crash, 23-year-old Leah Roberts is searching for answers. When she pulls away from her core group of friends and quits college, those closest to her become concerned about her emotional state. Then, after a phone call with her sister and making babysitting plans with her roommate, she disappears.
Leah's roommate, Nicole, called me that Sunday around noon and, asked me if I had seen Leah.
During the next 24 hours, Leah's sister Kara and Leah's friends call everyone they know in a fruitless attempt to find out where Leah has gone. On Monday morning, the young women meet at Nicole and Leah's house to strategize their next move. Nobody has seen either Leah or her car since Thursday.
She was driving a white Jeep Cherokee, had a good number of miles on it.
When Kara showed up, I think she was very worried to begin with. She walked directly in the door and went directly into Leah's room.
Judging by the state of Leah's room and the things that are missing, it is clear to Kara Leah has left voluntarily.
It didn't give me concern that someone had done something to her. I could just tell that she had packed up and taken certain things.
Although they agree Leah left on her own accord, knowing her emotional state, Kara and Leah's friends alert the police. If Leah did leave voluntarily without telling anyone, the girls are concerned she might not be thinking clearly.
We went down to the Raleigh Police Department downtown and filed a missing persons report. There wasn't a lot they could do because we had nowhere for them to even start.
We were all pretty worried and concerned about her. We're also just angry that if she did leave on purpose, that she didn't tell anyone.
On Tuesday, the day after the report is filed, Kara returns to Leah's house to see if perhaps she overlooked something that would give her some indication of where her sister has gone. What she finds heightens the mystery.
I was able to locate the note that she had left for her roommate, Nicole. It was a folded piece of paper with a picture of, the smile of the Cheshire Cat. So that was a little creepy.
Leah was known to be a big fan of the popular children's book, Alice in Wonderland. For Kara, the Cheshire Cat's smile is not likely an insignificant doodle.
I kind of wondered if it wasn't the cat that always disappears and reappears out of nowhere. I feel like it might have meant to her, here's my grin, it's here, it's gone, and it'll be back.
Inside the folded up letter, Kara also finds a stack of cash. The note from her younger sister begins by explaining the money is for bills.
It was to cover expenses for about a month, so I felt like she'd be back in a couple of weeks, at the most.
But as Kara reads on, the note becomes less clear.
Someone described it as cryptic, and I would say that was a good description. It was just out there.
Kara and Leah's friends wonder What was going on in Leah's head as she wrote her note? Then, Kara reads a side note written on the left-hand margin of the letter, referencing the 50s Beat Generation author Jack Kerouac and his legendary book, On the Road. The message speaks volumes to Kara.
Leah had talked to me about Jack Kerouac. I think she kind of romanticized about that sort of lifestyle. Here he is in the 50s, traveling across the country with hardly any cash, and he described this beautiful country, and I feel like she was maybe itching to get out on the road and do some soul searching.
The note seemed very happy. I mean, she seemed very happy about what she was doing.
Nicole recalls a conversation she had with Leah several weeks earlier.
Leah had mentioned to me, just in conversation, hey, let's just take a trip across the country. You know, let's just get in the car and go out to California. It sounded great, but I was working, I didn't have the money, I couldn't just jump in the car spontaneously and go.
But Leah could. She had no job, no responsibilities, and she was no longer in college. She had inherited some money from her parents, which would have given her the financial means to up and leave. For Leah's brother Heath, Leah's goodbye note and departure make perfect sense.
It just made it sound like she wanted to go follow in Kerouac's footsteps, and she might be gone for a little while, but that she was going to be back.
Although they are concerned, apparently Leah does not want anyone to lose sleep over her decision to leave.
I think she just needed to get away from her life to figure out a plan and to just kind of soul search.
In the note, she tells her sister not to worry and that she is far from depressed.
I think that made me feel a little bit better, finding the note. I still need to know where she was because I kind of looked after her always.
The looming question is, where did Leah go? And why hasn't she tried to contact anyone? Kara is determined to find out the answer. And luckily, she has a starting point.
Kara had been given power of attorney when Leah went to Costa Rica because she was going out of the country. And so Kara was able to tap into her credit cards and ATM cards.
I was able to get her bank records that afternoon, and I could see that she was headed west on I-40.
That's when we finally got a hint that she was going across the country.
Coming up, Leah's lark turns into her sister's worst nightmare when a disturbing note is delivered to Kara's door.
I don't know why her car would have been found there.
After finding a goodbye note addressed to her roommate, family and friends of Leah Roberts are trying to understand her decision to leave home for an adventure on the road. They want to believe she is safe, but they can't be sure. When her sister Kara obtains Leah's bank statement, she is able to follow a money trail, mapping out Leah's plan, a road trip across the country that began just after the last time they spoke on Thursday, March 9th.
I talked to her the day she left. There was no reason to think I wasn't going to talk to her again. She left that evening, I think around 6 o'clock. Went to the bank that afternoon, withdrew $3,000 cash, and hit the road.
Leah is able to traverse the country in less than 4 days. According to her bank statement, she checks into a hotel near Memphis, Tennessee on March 10th, and then only uses her debit card for gas until the last posted transaction on March 13th in Brooks, Oregon. At first, Kara has no idea why her sister is headed to the Pacific Northwest.
It didn't make sense at the time, and I didn't think there was any specific reason for her to go there, but it seems like she had a very deliberate path.
But on March 13th, the money trail stops. Kara knows Leah made it to Oregon, but now there is nothing left for her to do but wait.
I kind of felt like I would hear from Leah. At least I was hoping I would, and just kind of feeling like we can't do anything. She's an adult.
Meanwhile, Leah's friends are still baffled by her abrupt departure. They too want answers.
I just knew that something was really wrong with the situation, and I just felt this horrible, just scared, really scared that something bad was getting ready to occur.
Nicole and Susie hit the pavement, seeking out Leah's new acquaintances to see what they know.
During that time was when we started hearing from people about the whole Jack Kerouac connection.
And then they finally come across a woman from the coffee shop whom Leah has confided in.
We talked a lot about Jack Kerouac because we had both read Dharma Bums, and in the book he had gone over to Washington State in the mountains and had thought a lot about what was important to him. It kind of resonated with her. She wanted to go over there and just be alone and figure everything out because she'd been going through a tough time.
According to Janine, Leah was not sad or depressed about her life, but was indeed yearning for answers.
I totally knew that she was going to take off and go to the mountains because she wanted to go where Jack Kerouac had gone. And she wanted to be on the road and be a free spirit and go and figure herself out.
After 9 days without any word from Leah, Kara can't hold out much longer. It's Kara's 26th birthday, and she fully expects to hear from her sister. But instead of a phone call, she receives an ominous message from Bellingham, Washington.
When I got home on the morning of my birthday and found a note from the local sheriff's department, I found out that Leah's car was found in Bellingham. I had never heard of the area, and just trying to make sense of why her car would have been found there.
Just 1 day earlier, in a remote area of wilderness nearly 3,000 miles from North Carolina, a local man and his wife were taking an early Saturday morning run up a mountain road in a majestic pine forest.
As he's walking down that road, he noticed some clothes in the trees, and as he looked down the ravine, he saw a vehicle. He went down the ravine and found a passport and ID, called 911 to report a vehicle in the ditch.
A white Jeep Cherokee with North Carolina plates was found wrecked and abandoned off an old logging pass called Canyon Creek Road in the Mount Baker National Forest, about 30 miles east of Bellingham, Washington. A deputy from the Whatcom County Sheriff's Department responded to the scene.
When he got to that vehicle, the deputy thought it was suspicious in a sense that there was a vehicle down the embankment, clothes everywhere, but it could be real common in this county. We get these a lot. People end up drinking, they'll crash their vehicle, go down, they'll report it later on. It was treated like a crash vehicle, but it was unique because it was out of North Carolina.
The Jeep was left with blankets and pillows covering the blown-out windows. Personal items, like a checkbook, a guitar, music CDs, and bags of clothing are strewn across the area. But the one obvious thing missing from the scene is the driver. It doesn't take investigators long to figure out the car belongs to a woman named Leah Roberts from North Carolina. They call the Raleigh police, who are able to link the wrecked vehicle to the missing persons report filed 5 days earlier.
At that time, it went from just, a vehicle down the ravine to a missing persons case.
A police officer is sent to Kara Roberts' home with a note to call a sheriff's department in Washington State. Kara is sickened when she gets the news about the car.
The worst thing that was supposed to happen to me was that my mom passed away unexpectedly, but now we're looking for our little sister. There's no sign of her other than the car, and it's in a place thousands and thousands of miles away.
When Kara called me to tell me that they'd found the car, I remember just breaking down and crying because I knew something really bad had happened.
Kara and Heath Roberts decide to take a trip out west to help locate their baby sister. Meanwhile, police in Whatcom County investigate the site where they believe there has been an accident.
It looked like the vehicle went somewhere between 30 to 40 miles per hour. It was going uphill.
Investigators are able to determine the speed, judging from the damage done to the trees as the Jeep tumbled over the embankment.
It sheared off some trees that were 3 to 4 inches around, and then it looked like it tossed. It went end over end and then side to side. Everything in the vehicle was being tossed out of the vehicle. So if someone was in it, it would have been severely injured, or if they're tossed out, you'd expect them to have been somewhere near the vehicle.
Yet the investigator sees no sign that Leah was injured either inside or outside the Jeep.
It didn't present itself as anyone in the vehicle. And a lot of times you look at the windshield and see if there's head damage or something like that, or damage to the steering wheel, and you didn't see any of that. And you would have thought there would have been trails of some kind of blood. We just didn't see it.
Four days after Leah's Jeep was found, Kara and Heath Roberts arrive in Bellingham, tracing their sister's last known whereabouts. When they witness the beauty of Bellingham, they understand why their sister was drawn here.
The city of Bellingham was very nice. You know, it's a little small town, very quaint looking, but it didn't take very long to get outside of town into an area that I would describe it as wilderness. But it looked like an area where, you know, if you don't know how to survive, you might not.
Police bring Heath and Kara to the accident site shortly after their arrival. Seeing Leah's last whereabouts leaves an indelible mark.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and her trail ended there. Her car was here. There's no sign of Leah. You know, where could she have gone?
Coming up, Kara and Heath uncover a critical lead in the search for their sister.
Somebody there had to have some kind of knowledge of what had happened to her.
Get more Disappeared online at investigationdiscovery.com. Days after 23-year-old Leah Roberts left her home in Raleigh, North Carolina, it appears as if her cross-country adventure has come to a crashing halt. Police find her wrecked car in a national forest in Washington state, but no signs of Leah. The accident scene leaves Leah's family and investigators mystified.
The seatbelt wasn't strained. There was no mark on the windshield where they would have hit their head. No blood. But yet these blankets were covering the windows. It made me wonder, you know, did she hit her head and wander off, or wander out into the road and hitchhike out? The condition of the car didn't provide any answers. It almost made it more of a mystery.
We didn't find any tracks or any marks that somebody who was trying to leave a trail, you know, might have left. And of course, we didn't find Leah.
If Leah sustained injuries from the crash, it appears she hasn't asked anyone for help. There are no records of any area hospitals treating an injured or disoriented woman since March 13th, the day that activity on Leah's credit card stops. Seeing the car leaves Leah's brother with two very contradictory scenarios of what might have happened to his free-spirited little sister.
Either Leah had had an accident in the car and had wandered off and was intentionally staying out of contact with people, or that something bad had happened to her, some sort of foul play.
What could have happened to Leah? Police and family believe the answers lie somewhere in that vehicle.
That car has something to tell us because we don't have a crime scene. We don't have a body.
All they know is that Leah paid for gas in Oregon on March 13th, and then her car was found here on this mountain 5 days later. What happened in between and after is anybody's guess.